Yeah, it's a pleasure to see the film in Cannes with all the audience, because technically you see how they react spontaneously to it, and I think that's a super feeling,
Yeah,
especially that they loved it yesterday.
it is. It's really a thrill to be here because it's such a filmmaker festival. You know, it's really all about directors and filmmakers, a place where they really honor that. And I can't quite believe that I'm here as a director. You know, I did have another movie here, The Beaver, that was here a few years ago,
Yes.
and that was also an amazing experience.
It sets, in a backdrop of the financial world, but for me it was at a core, a movie about human relations,
Yes, I
and
agree.
how they get intertwined. So that must have been an interesting exercise as well, to make those performances so intertwined.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the film has a big backdrop. It's a thriller. It's has a lot of technology. It talks about the financial markets and the broadcast news
Yeah.
arena and high technology. But the real story is the characters in front, and the character of Lee Gates as this, sort of lost soul.
Yeah.
He's a showman who's lost his identity as a filmmaker, as a journalist, and he doesn't think very highly of himself. He's had a lot of failure in his life, and all he knows is money and fame as things to make you meaningful. Um, and the good news is that he has this interesting relationship with his director, who ends up producing his survival because she cares about him.
They hardly see each other in the film. However,
Yes.
there's this chemistry that you feel in the air. So, did that justify the choice of Julia and George, because they're so close, that they
Well,
could pull this off?
yes, we did need two characters. These two characters who were only on the same scene, the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. The rest of the movie, they connect virtually. So either she's in his earpiece or he's looking down the barrel of the lens. And we needed two actors that could connect that way. And what better casting than George Clooney and Julia Roberts?
Yeah, you guys make a great trio, and Jack is great as well. He's such a raw talent.
Yeah,
Isn't
that was
he?
a joy to discover. I didn't discover him. He's been himself for a long time. He's a wonderful actor, but to be able to participate in the career of a young actor who's emerging that other people don't know, who's so powerful and so committed, raw, so much feeling. It's just really a joy.
And it helped a lot because the movie is a bit like a huis clos. It's very theatrical in a way because it's centered around the tension of those characters. How much do you enjoy that? The performance based that it is. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's a thriller as well. But
Yes,
it's performance.
I mean that's the great thing about the movie is that it has two spaces. It has the scope and the pacing and the feeling of a thriller, and yet it has this very intense relationship, almost a stage play. And that was hard to pull off because there's a lot of balance that comes around with that cinematically to try to figure out how to go back and forth between the two, to keep the pace and to keep that feeling of dread and threat, but to have the audience be able to really experience these relationships.
One of the themes of the film is obviously the immediacy of the media that we're living in, social media, everything that's going on in our lives that make them so immediate and live. What is
Yeah.
your point of view about that? You've been in Hollywood so many years.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be like this.
Well, the world's changed. I mean, this is a new landscape. It's a new contemporary landscape, and we wanted to make a modern film that was relevant, that was about our time. And this is a time of technology, and the world of entertainment and media and financial world. All of them are mixed up with that. I feel like it's really really relevant for our time. This weird entertainment journalism that we have now, and how that's bled into the political landscape, and our social landscape, how we relate to each other differently. Our children are different than we were when we were growing up. Even our almost cyborg relationship with the world, where we interface through devices.
Exactly. You never talk to each other anymore.
The film really reflects that, and so I think it embraces all of that. There's good to it and bad to it.